Democrats want so much more from their leaders in the Trump 2.0 era. CNN reports on a Friday afternoon in downtown Philadelphia, dozens gather on the corner of South 2nd and Chestnut Streets, a mix of retirees and fired federal workers. They are teeming with fury, but not just toward President Trump, Elon Musk, and the early actions of the administration. These people represent the roughly 73% of Democratic voters in a recent CNN SSRS poll who say the party's caucus in Congress is doing too little to oppose Trump. In their view, Fetterman and other Washington Democrats are enabling illegal firings across the federal workforce and the erosion of the rule of law. So that's right. So Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, a Democrat, has become a much more moderate guy since taking office and a much more pro-Trump guy, a guy who's very sympathetic and patient with Trump and arguably a Trump enabler. Some people are even saying a cuck to MAGA. And a lot of people are very embarrassed by that this guy is saying, oh yeah, no, we got to give Trump a chance. You know, I sort of understand where Trump's coming from. And he's criticized the actions of Democrats during Trump's State of the Union address, but doesn't seem to have any smoke for Trump. So it's really weird. It seems like he's trying to appeal to moderates in Pennsylvania, like, oh, it's a swing state, it's a purple state, so I got to act a little more MAGA adjacent there. But it's like, no, actually your voters want you to be more of a leftist and more of a fighter against President Trump. Quote, I understand the importance of bipartisanship in normal times, but these aren't normal times, said Robert Liparito, a 69-year-old retired music librarian from Pennsport. Liparito argues the party needs to be more dogmatic and is not sympathetic to the needle that purple state Democrats believe they must thread. Quote, it's not just a matter of trying to find consensus when someone is literally dismantling our institutions right before our eyes and turning on our allies. I mean, there's no middle ground for that, he said. Correct, and I would add that when there's bipartisanship that's getting bad things done, aka the Trump agenda is not a good thing, then that bipartisanship will not be looked at favorably by the American people, not centrist voters, not Democratic voters. And you know what? Republican voters won't even care that Democrats are helping Republicans. They'll still accuse them of being Marxist communists, still accuse them of, trying to get their opponents killed or whatever. They'll still accuse them of being treasonous and hating Trump, having Trump derangement syndrome. So it helps no one. It helps no one. It doesn't help your base. It doesn't help centrists. It doesn't help Republicans. It helps your numbers with no one. The group of protesters, organized by a local offshoot of Indivisible, a progressive movement created in 2016 after Trump first took the White House, marched from Fetterman's Philadelphia field office to Independence National Historic Park, chanting, "Stand up for us," as people passing by honked and cheered. Quote, if we elected you, then you need to fight. You need to grow a spine and fight for us, said 64-year-old Joyce Meter of Abington Township. Meter, dressed in a Fetterman costume, held a sign calling on her senator to hold a town hall to hear constituents' concerns and to show up for votes. John Fetterman costume, huh? Do you have stilts to make yourself 6'8"? Democrats have begun sounding the alarm over Republican plans to pay for extensions of tax cuts by slashing hundreds of billions of dollars in government spending, possibly including cuts to Medicaid. That's what Al Green referenced with his standing up, waving his cane, and yelling, you have no mandate to cut Medicaid, which Trump does not, of course, because cutting Medicaid is really unpopular. Even though Trump did not mention Medicaid, cutting Medicaid is in the bill that he is supportive of. The GOP tax bill that passed the House that Mike Johnson was very supportive of, and that Mike Johnson dubiously did not mention cuts $880 billion in Medicaid. More immediately, the federal government will shut down Friday if Congress doesn't pass funding legislation. Democrats are weighing whether they should help pass a GOP-drafted spending measure that they dislike or whether they should demand some concessions in exchange for their support. Fetterman has always ruled out supporting a government shutdown as a mechanism to slow down the Trump agenda. That's chaos. I'll never vote for chaos to burn the village down in order to save it. That's one of our core responsibilities, to keep the government running, Fetterman told CNN. It's not just progressives who are peeved. Longtime Philadelphia attorney Michelle Flamer describes herself as a centrist. Still, she feels compelled to protest her own party because the people voted for, she says, should feel accountable to her. Quote, in my view, our nation's on fire and we are actually in a constitutional crisis now, the 68-year-old said in an interview on her porch in West Philadelphia. She was in disbelief when House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries wondered at a news conference last month how much power Democrats have in Trump's Washington. That was his infamous remark. I'm trying to figure out what leverage we have. Jeffries was trying to indicate it was not on Democrats to bail out Mike Johnson on government spending negotiations since Republicans are in the majority. His message, Democrats would work with Johnson on a bipartisan basis, but conservatives must take responsibility for whatever materialized. Some Democratic voters received Jeffries' comments as party leaders prematurely conceding defeat. Yeah, it kind of was like that, or it came off that way. Let me know what you think in the comments below about Democrats not being satisfied with their party. I mean, it seems pretty obvious why. A lot of them are not standing up to Trump sufficiently, but also, yeah, do they have enough power? I don't know. Hakeem Jeffries was sort of onto something while also coming off as very weak. It's weird. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I look forward to speaking to you in my next video.